Good afternoon, everybody. So indeed, I will share my screen, so it's going to be much easier then. And sorry if you hear weird noise. I'm lucky enough to work from outside. That's why. So I'm very happy to present what we've been doing for the last 2 years now in the Paradigm project, which basically the overall aim is to advance patient engagement in medicine R&D. So I'm Mathieu Boudes, and as you can see, you start a project as a project coordinator with hair, and now you lose all of them in 2 years. So very good luck for your upcoming project. And I work at the European Patients Forum, and I'm a colleague of Valentina. So the key focus of our project, multi-stakeholder collaboration doesn't surprise everybody, and is to drive meaningful and systematic patient engagement in medicine R&D. The big pharma is here, EPF, so European Patients Forum, so my organization, and FPA. We collaborate as the two umbrellas organization. One is Organization for Patients, one is the FPA. Everybody knows, and we work with the pharma with 4 patient groups. We work with urologists, rare disease. We also have Alzheimer Europe, focusing on Alzheimer, obviously, but also EATG, which is HIV and tuberculosis. I'm going to skip that. So our mission can sound really not ambitious, but in 2.5 years, that was more than enough. The idea was to participate to the co-creation of a sustainable framework that allows systematic, meaningful, and ethical patient engagement in medicine R&D. All the words here are very important, and it's also to participate into the co-creation, because a lot of things are already happening when it comes to patient engagement in the development of medicines, and that's why Paradigm didn't work and is not working in a vacuum. We're working with many other organizations, and we need to team up and to synergize. And that's why we need to participate into the creation of this framework. When we started the project, we decided to have 3 time points when it comes to the development of medicine. It was research and priority settings, so very early in the development, the design of clinical trial, but also early dialogues with the regulators and the HTA bodies. Of course, we know that early dialogues or scientific advice is a big part of the design of clinical trial, but that was a way for us to put the political weight on early dialogue, which for EPF was important. As you can see, the 3 time points here they don't have the same maturity when it comes to patient engagement. Patient engagement in the design of clinical trials is a field which is way more mature than research and priority settings, and even worse in early dialogue. So we had to work on those. Our objectives are very simple, is to develop process and tools for these 3 time points in the medicine development, basically to help everybody that wants to do patient engagement in the development of medicine easier. Our mission, our objectives are to make the life of people easy. But also because we at EPF want to have an overarching view on what the ecosystem says. So we decided also to have a sustainability roadmap for patient engagement. So what should be done by everybody and when to make sure that patient engagement becomes the norms, because it's clearly not the case now. And we're working in this direction. Patient engagement, to make it happen, basically is 3 main pillars: patient education and training, guidance on how to engage, but also the sustainability part that I was just mentioning. So on concept, on resources, on process. And with that, we can have patient engagement, which is structured, meaningful, sustainable, and ethical. Patient education and training, that's already happening within EUPATI, the Patient Academy, the European Patient Academy. A former MI project, a program led by EPF, and soon to become an independent foundation this year. So this pillar here is more or less covered. Can be improved. Other organizations are doing training and education, but basically it's to empower the patients through education to participate in engagement activities. Where things are a bit less developed is on guidance on engagement, tools to engage. And this is where our effort were for the last 2 years. And again, on the ecosystem. When it comes to patient engagement, and that's true to a lot of fields, it seems that everybody knows what is really missing and what needs to be developed. And I have trouble understanding why not all the gaps are filled already, because everybody seems to know individually. So we took a different approach, a systematic approach. And thanks to the IMI, and we welcome academic team, thanks to this methodology, we could, for once, address the needs of medicine development as a community. And then we address the gaps, and then we create the tools, but also the metrics to measure the return on engagement. And then we can work on the sustainability. So that's how we develop the work, the needs and the different practices with the gap analysis. This is behind us. We still need to publish those, but that's already been accomplished. Now we're working on the tools and on the how to evaluate the return on engagement. More broadly, Paradigm aims to strengthen the understanding of stakeholder needs, but also the expectations for engagement, because the expectations are, that shouldn't come as a surprise either, different from the patient community or from the industry staff and colleagues. Obviously, also it's very important for us to ensure to maximize the synergies between the different similar initiatives. And because IMI, because public-private partnership, because public money, it was much easier for us to engage with the different initiatives on both sides of the ocean. We want to develop a workable suite of tools, again, what we are doing here, and also is to strengthen the system to be ready for the engagement, because this is a bit also lacking. It needs to be welcomed by everybody. So we started in March 2018, so I've been working for 2.5 years. As you see, in August, we should have finished, but because we've been a bit delayed for the last 2 months, we postponed our project to the end of November, and that has some other repercussion here. But if you look at June 2020, we are now in the phase of public consultation for the tools Paradigm has developed or is developing, okay? So now that's a way also for the public or for people to have a look at what Paradigm have done, but also to get feedback that then we will consolidate to make the tools better and suitable for the many. So for the tools, so there is a lot of words here on this slide, but they're actually all very, very important. So as I told you, we started with a gap analysis, assessment of the needs. We run Delphi method, Delphi exercise to prioritize the different needs and so on. And at the end, we got about 10 topics that we needed to work on, because when we started the project, we actually didn't know the topics that the consortium would have to work on. So that was a surprise, and that was exciting when we got the results. The first tool, the first line is how to identify the right match. And by match, you can understand patient, okay, but there is no right patient. So basically, it's the right match, but also for the right patient engagement activity. Basically, is what are the competencies here that people should have to engage, because all the type of engagement are different, and the skills or the competencies needed are a bit different. Also, in the patient community, the second line, the second bullet point, we're lacking tools and also way to make sure awareness around competing interests in a multi-stakeholder environment, because it's clear that one patient representative or one patient advocate engage with one industry, one company. Then when it comes to a competitor or with the regulators or with the HTA, everything is a matrix here. So we need to work on that to make sure that patient groups know how to handle conflict of interest, but also competing interest. That sounds very important. The topic that surprised me as well, it seems that it was extremely difficult for the two parties of engagement, patient groups, but also some of the companies in the patient advocacy, patient engagement department. They didn't have the tools to how to report and how to disseminate the outcomes of the engagement. It seems a bit simple, but actually in the real life, that was a bit difficult. What to disseminate, how to disseminate, and etc. And that seems to be difficult. The fourth bullet point is on recommendation on capacities and capabilities. That seems also a bit trivial, but for patient groups, it was very important to, okay, I want to engage with companies, but I have no idea how to do it. What should I put in place internally? And that was also a way to help patient groups, but also industry partners on defining what needs to be put in place as processes, as staff to run patient engagement activities. As we also found out that the community advisory board, which is a methodology for engagement that was developed by the HIV communities in the 90s, which is now developed by the rare disease, that was very much welcomed by the participants, by the engaging party and the engagees. But there was the need to broaden up a bit. HIV and rare disease are specific communities, and we need to, for the more common diseases, that was missing, so we need to work on that. We also worked a lot with HTA bodies to run patient engagement during early dialogue. So we know that not all the HTA bodies are doing early dialogue, but the ones who are running early dialogue, some of them are not doing patient engagement. And this is why I wanted to send recommendation for those folks to make sure that this happened in this moment. Also something which was extremely important for the community, and for that we knew that from the very beginning, people are very keen to measure the impact of the engagement. And that's why we developed, with again here with an academic team in Amsterdam, a monitoring and evaluation framework. So how can you measure the impact of your activity, depending on the resources, on the input, what happened in the ecosystem at that moment, internally, externally, depending on your objectives, etc. And this is a very big piece of work that is now being finalized and presented, and I will come back to that. But that's a very important work we do. Surprisingly, we need a code of conduct, because there is no code of conduct for patient engagement in medicine R&D. There is a bit charters on clinical trial and so on, but something more broadly, something that we can all share and use, that was also a bit missing. So we developed a code of conduct. The enhancement of the UPATI guidance. So UPATI patient academies, training, empowering of patients through training. They also developed some guidance on how to do patient engagement, but it was a bit high level, and we need to be a bit granular, like a checklist. What needs to be done really on paper? What do you need to do to be efficient? And we worked on that. The last bullet point is actually very important to frame that into legal agreement when you engage a patient in the medicine development phase. But all the contracts are not fit for patients. You need to be a lawyer to understand those. So through other organizations, we can, consortium in the cancer field, but also PFMD, patient-focused medicine development, another consortium, developed legal agreements that are fit for purpose for the medicine R&D. But even that, it was lawyers from companies who decided to make life easy for everybody, but they just succeeded in making shorter and to agree on the wording. But for the external community, we need to go a bit beyond and to explain what actually those contracts means. And this is very clear. It's just to foster trust between the different partners. So those are the tools we developed, and that were developed because of the gap analysis. So that's why we know they are very much needed, and some can come as a surprise. So now for the tools, we are in the consultation phase. So I put here the URL where, if you want, you can disseminate within your network and you can have a look. We have 2 topics that are open for public consultation. And during the summer, slowly in 4 waves, the consultation will open slowly. Everything will be gathered into the Paradigm Patient Engagement Toolbox. I also put the URL here, which is not available yet, but for future reference. And because every IMI project, at the end of the project, everything stops, everything ends, everything dies, but we've decided to keep it and to be accessible from our two partners consortium initiative, UPATI and PFMD, to make sure that the tools within the toolbox, they don't fall apart and they are updated, at least on the IT matter. Now, when it comes to Paradigm, so Paradigm was a 2.5-year project, very short for an IMI project. It was rather small, 34 partners, but small. So that's the governance that actually doesn't really matter. What I would like to present to you here, it's the left box. Well, something we call the Paradigm International Liaison Group, otherwise called the PILG, whatever, that was for internal purposes. And that helped a lot to reach out more easily to organizations that are doing somehow patient engagement, patient education, and so on. But then we had a direct line of discussion. It was very informal. Come if you have time, if you wish to work with Paradigm to review the documents, but at least you will be updated often. And then you can share the news within your network and come to our events, etc. So that was our way to reach out a bit beyond what already exists within Paradigm. We went a bit broader. And basically the role on the top of the screen, it's to provide advice to Paradigm, because Paradigm 34 partners, but we never short of brain. So it was help us build something better, more relevant, and to reduce the fragmentation. And we went outside. We went to the US as well, and we worked with those different initiatives, and also with some IMI project such as Prefer on patient preference studies. So that worked quite well. Better with some, a bit less with other initiatives, but overall, I'm very happy by the way we proceeded. Now, the big piece of us when we come to the end of the project, and we are at the end of the project, we need to disseminate our finding, our tools, but not only for Paradigm, we need to go beyond that. Everything is about patient engagement. And thank you to the IMI, we use the IMI budget to create the patient engagement open forum. And this year, the tagline is into reality, is to go one step further. And we worked with PFMD and with UPATI, so you can see the logos on the bottom left of this slide. And that's the idea. Last year, we had a 2-day event in Brussels, about 250 people joined. It was a great success. 2 days, roll up the sleeves and work hard. It was networking and working. It was both. That was our philosophy. It works quite well. This year, we had to change the modality, obviously. So we changed the modality by organizing 10 online events every 3 weeks. On Thursday at 3 p.m., we will launch the process. So the first session is on June 25, and we will discuss some of the tools Paradigm has developed and 2 other topics. And we can go on the, can you see because can you see the web page, my Chrome page, or no? Or you're still on the,
yes, we could
on the
see your
PowerPoint
page.
Still on the slide.
You're still on the slide. Okay,
yeah,
let me. It won't take long. So here you go. So that's the patient engagement forum. You can register, obviously. You have the open, what is the forum? The forum basically is to work together on patient engagement on the tools. The agenda is on the 25th of June. We're working on the tools, Paradigm, so the 10 bullet points I showed you, but also how to do patient engagement with MedTech, because it's not really mature in this area. But also patient experience in the regulatory processes. How do you take into account patient experience when you come to regulatory process? That's a very good question. So we have June 25 and June 26, and we're working with the National Health Council in the US that will discuss about the fair market value calculator. So how much a patient costs. Okay. What is the fair market value for the engagement? And we have topics, regulatory, a bit of HTA, flash sessions. It doesn't take a lot of time. It's about 2 hours every 3 weeks, but then it's to make sure that we have as many people as possible joining the session or few of the sessions here. And that's why we have this format here. If I go to the other slide, last year, to show you that it was a success, about 200 people representing 140 organizations, and I'm not sure will be able to hear the sound. Can you hear the sound?
Not yet.
Yeah.
I just wanted to show you the few words that people have used to describe the event. So that was really important for us to keep going in this direction and organizing the way where people can work as a community, but also to network, because this is also where the trust is created. I just have few slides left. Shoot. Sorry. Slide. So I'm back to my slide deck. The highlight, I showed you the highlight. Basically is check the agenda, join and share the news if you decide to work in this field. We're a bit short for now on patient representatives and also on the academic team. So if you can share the news, if you feel that that's something you would be interested in, that would be interesting. And if you want to learn more, we are on social media, on Twitter and LinkedIn. And I think I covered all the topics I wanted to cover.
Thank you, Mathieu, for this comprehensive introduction to Paradigm.